With its deep lore and vastly huge lands, Fallout has been immersing fans within the Fallout universe for over 2 decades. The franchise has shifted over the years and has grown to become one of the most well-known and loved RPGs of the modern day. Although fans are split on the direction the game is going, it still remains very popular. So let's see how this all started. Of course, it all started with another post-apocalyptic game named Wasteland. Developer and publisher Interplay would then top their 1987 title 10 years later, after Interplay's plan to create several games under the GURP system. GURP stands for Generic Universal Role-Playing System, which is sort of like a subgenre for RPGs. Originally, the team was going to name the game Armageddon, but that was already being used on another title. So instead, it was called Vault 13, a GURPS post-nuclear adventure. But out of all the other suggestions given out, Fallout won the pick, especially from the head of Interplay, Brian Fargo. And with a budget of $3 million, producer Tim Kaine and his team started work on Fallout. They wanted to implement a GURP system into the game, but they lost the license to that. Instead, they used their own system called Special. The team also wanted to make Fallout first person, but due to restraints from the technology at the time, the team didn't really visualize that the graphics would look to what they'd expect. The story was also going to be revolved around time traveling, but that never happened. And on October 10th of 1997, the first ever Fallout game would be released. Interplay was fast to begin work on a sequel after the first game's success. There isn't really exactly much to say about this game in terms of the development process because of how close it was next to the first game being developed. But I will mention Interplay's final games that would come into the Fallout universe. So in 2001, Fallout Tactics would come out. And then in 2004, as many would call it, the worst Fallout game would ever come out, which was Fallout Brotherhood of Steel. Fans did not find this game to have that much depth, and this would become the last Fallout to be under Interplay's name. This would also be the only Fallout game to be done with a top bird's eye view. But what would come next would change everything forever.
I love those dear hearts and gentle people who live in my hometown, because those dear hearts.
Fallout 3 was originally going to be developed by Interplay's subsidiary Black Isle Studios under the name Van Buren, but due to financial issues, Interplay would shut down before Fallout 3's completion. But then Bethesda got its hands on the development for $1.75 million. Work was meant to begin in 2004, but would never start until The Elder Scrolls 4 was complete. The project was mostly entirely made from scratch, and is the first Fallout game to be in a 3D world. Now this is before Bethesda purchased all of the Fallout franchise. They only had the right to develop 3 Fallout games with royalties given to Interplay. But Bethesda decided they might as well just buy all of Fallout, so they purchased the entire franchise for $5.75 million. This was also during the time when Interplay was still working on their own Fallout game, which would be based online, which clearly never happened. And on October 28th of 2008, Fallout 3 would be released. In the first week alone, it sold over 4 million copies.
I got spurs that jingle, jangle, jingle,
Jingle, jangle,
as I go riding merrily along.
jingle, jangle,
And they sing, oh, ain't you glad you're single?
jingle, jangle,
And that song ain't so very far from wrong.
jingle, jangle.
Oh, Lily Bell,
Oh, Lily Bell.
oh, Lily Bell.
Not long after Fallout 3's release and success, Bethesda was already in talks with Obsidian on a new Fallout game. The team at Obsidian is actually made up of previous employees of Black Isle Studios owned by Interplay, people who basically worked on Fallout 1 and Fallout 2, including Obsidian's CEO, Fergus Urquhart. This next Fallout game at first was inquired on the base idea that it would be a prequel to Fallout 3, an idea suggested by the team at Obsidian. Bethesda disagreed and also decided that this would not be a sequel. Instead, this would just be a part of the franchise to enlarge the Fallout universe. Obsidian's first draft of the game had it titled as Fallout Sin City. And also at first, Obsidian had the plan for players not just to be able to play as humans, but also as super mutants and ghouls. This never happened though because of the weapon and armor system working with other characters. There was also a big part of the inspiration for the plot for New Vegas that actually came from the original Fallout 3/Van Buren project. This also includes the totalitarian dictatorship organization known as Caesar's Legion. Fallout New Vegas would release on October 19th of 2010. It's had some incredible reception over the years, considered by some to be the best Fallout ever created. This started an interesting debate between fans of Fallout 3 and New Vegas about which company develops games better.
Got a doll baby, I love her so. Nothing else like her anywhere you go. A man, she's anything but calm. A regular pint-sized atom bomb.
Work on Fallout 4 can be dated all the way back to Fallout 3 when it was first released, but Skyrim got in the way of development, which pushed work for Fallout 4 to be done after it released in 2011. This would be the first in the franchise to give players the ability to use mods directly from the menu without needing a third-party menu option. They also added the ability to build, having your character talk, and making the game more colorful, similar to the first few Fallouts before Fallout 3. It also has an updated engine called the Creation Engine, an engine that was used in Skyrim. There also appears to be cut weapons in the game's file, like an AK-47 and a cannon that can fire nukes. Upon the announcement of the game, one gamer felt really lucky and sent Bethesda 2,240 bottle caps with the intention of getting Fallout 4 for free. Bethesda agreed to this and actually gave him a free copy of Fallout 4. That same summer, on June 14th of 2015, Fallout Shelter, the mobile app, would be released. And on November 10th of 2015, Fallout 4 would be released. It sold over 12 million copies, grossing over $750 million for retail on launch day, and also surpassed GTA 5's previous record for having the most concurrent Steam players on a launch day for a non-Steam game.
Almost heaven, West Virginia, Blue Ridge Mountains, Shenandoah River. Life is all there, older than the trees, younger than the mountains, blowing like the breeze. Country roads, take me home.
The idea for this new and unique Fallout experience all started around 2013 during the development of Fallout 4. The team began conceptualizing how an online experience would go out in Fallout 4. Due to how ambitious the idea was at the time and unexperienced the team was with online games, the idea would not happen. Meanwhile, the parent company of Bethesda, ZeniMax, had created a new studio called Battlecry. It created its own game called Battlecry, and it was helping out ID Software with the development of Doom multiplayer. But most recently, this is a studio that would help Bethesda during Fallout 4's DLC to try and create a multiplayer capable Fallout 4 engine. This is when the team really realized that maybe making a Fallout multiplayer game was actually a pretty good idea, and work on Fallout 76 began. West Virginia was chosen as the location because of its unique non-city experience. It's also very untouched and natural because of the idea that nuclear bombs wouldn't really be going towards something that doesn't have a huge population. It was also chosen because of its interesting myths and legends about creatures. This gave developers the idea to add more enemies to Fallout 76. Another new feature of Fallout 76 is called camps. This device allows players to transport little structure/home bases that they have made. 76 also gives players the ability to access nuclear bombs if the player/players can discover all of the codes necessary to activate these bombs. And yeah, it came out about a week ago on November 13th. So to conclude, Fallout has come a long way. It has such an interesting premise about the future, and a great selection of songs, great humor, and just a lot of memorable experiences. It just has some of those games that you can just go back to again and again. So thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next one. And as the saying goes, war never changes.
Crawl out
out through the fallout, baby, when they drop that bomb. Crawl out through the fallout with the greatest of aplomb. When your white count's getting higher,